Jacob, and then Jason, Rachel. Okay. Hello, everybody. It is 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Call roll here. I am present. Mayor Pro Tem Drumfield, present. Councilmember McClellan has a medically excused absence. Councilmember Moses, present. Councilmember Smith, present. Councilmember Swinson. Good rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Announcements. Councilmember McClellan is still in the hospital. I understand he's opting to go on around with chemo. I understand he's in good spirits. Let's go to the first. With a heavy heart, I announced a loss of a pillar of our community. Miss Judy Dorset. She was with Greta Martin, the co-founder of Keep Life Beautiful, real spark plug and just a real sweet, told me loving presence for everybody that knew her. She will be very much missed. She was preceded by her husband 2 years ago. There was another loss that not many people know. One of the investors, the founders of Mile and Green Distillery, passed away. Mike Young over the weekend as well. He's a very active, energetic fellow cut down by pancreatic cancer. He didn't do much in public around here, but he was driving towards that place as well. There will be a memorial service for Ms. Dorset. Let me make sure I get it right. It is Friday, September 8th at 10 a.m. at the Baptist Church. Is that, excuse me?
I have no idea.
Okay, I got that through the Bible study. I was told. So stay tuned on that, but it was what I was told is September 8th, Friday at 10 a.m. Public comments. Let's see. General public comments. Nobody signed up. And these are for budget and tax rate. Okay. Moving on. The public hearing on the budget. We have two speakers signed up. One is Kent Welch. Mr. Welch.
Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. I'm Kenneth Welch. I'm not a resident of the city of Blanco. I live in a resident of Blanco. I have no vote or any authority in Blanco. However, I live in the county and I do have opinions about the future of the community. I've watched the administration of the city over the past 3 or 4 years. I've been consistently impressed with the diligent approach by this body to identify the shortfalls in the management of the fiscal affairs of the city. Significant steps have been taken to close the gap by putting in place systems and processes to identify community needs and match them to the funding sources and actual historical expenses. The recent debate over the next budget and tax rate required to support it show a deviation from the past commitment to close the physical and financial gaps that have been identified. Physical shortfalls in the city's infrastructure are well known, whether it be the water systems, sewage treatment, the streets, or the office facilities. What does not seem to be understood, as indicated by the debate, is that the shortfalls cannot be addressed without the financial backing. Can't have reformer if you don't have the funds for the project. Unfortunately, the debate has even extended into the funding of the daily services that are provided, whether it be police protection, water bill collection, support of the library, or daily maintenance activities. The discussion has been taken in 2 separate directions. First, the physical and financial needs of the city, and second, the tax burden placed upon the residents. Both discussions have merit. However, they cannot be disconnected. Revenue for the city must come from the city taxes and fees that the residents pay, period. When citizens write their check for their property taxes, they do not write it to the city. They're paying the county, the city, the ISD, the ESD, and the groundwater district. I believe the most important governmental body is the one closest to where we live. The citizens must protect the needs of the local government first. That means Blanco first. While the county has been spending on pretty buildings, the city infrastructure and services have gone without for years. This body must pass the budget and the taxes to pay. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Next up is Ms. Rec Martin.
Okay, I'll put it down. The three things that I was going to tell about Judy. Thanks. It's already been announced now, but Judy was with Keep Blanco Beautiful, and from the time that we started it was the time that I was sworn in to the city council, and the next morning we began Keep Blanco Beautiful, and Judy was so wonderful. Rebecca and I were on the council, and we got it started. The next morning, I went and got her because she's a landscape designer. And so we have been 24 years that we were doing this. And so I was also going to bring up the rock wall, which is part of it. All the things that we worked on, that was part of it. And Blanco Historic Preservation Commission is part of it. It all fits together. And so I was just wanting to bring up that this is still in effect. Judy's gone, but Keep Blanco Beautiful is still going, and so is the rock wall, and so is the Historic Commission. The rock wall needs to be addressed. I'm sorry that y'all decided not to give $42,000 for it. It's not my wall. It's to keep that building from falling down or getting any more damage than what it is as right now. And so if it falls down or whatever it happens to it, it won't be on me, it will be on y'all that vote against it.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing on the budget. There is a hearing on the adoption of the tax rate, and one person signed up is Ms. Marissa Mincy. Okay.
Okay, this is from Marissa Mincy. I can't attend the meeting tonight. Please read the letter. Dear voting members of Blanco City Council, while raising taxes is certainly not a popular idea, I applaud your courage in making difficult decisions for our community when it is so desperately needed. For some time, the state of Texas has been taking more than it has needed in taxes from our citizens, leading to a historic surplus. The legislature has recently corrected this, offering a significant tax break to home and business owners while increasing the homestead exemption significantly. This is an opportunity for the city of Blanco to funnel a very small percentage of the state tax cuts into our local community. It can be argued that the tax cuts were not only a relief for homeowners, but also small towns throughout the state that are struggling with dated and billing infrastructure and a greater need for emergency services. As citizens of Blanco, we will see less money going to the state government and a small increase going to our local needs. From here, we citizens can hold our city up to a high level of fiscal transparency. We can encourage city staff to invest in ways that will not only improve our community, but also put money back in our local economy. Once again, thank you for making the hard decisions. This is what good leadership looks like. Sincerely, Marissa Mincy. Thank you.
Moving on, we have a presentation from O.J. Armstrong, the chair of the CMAC committee, regarding the utility rate.
Everybody in the council, I think everyone has the budgets. So the budget is basically our basis for being able to create rate orders and fund the budget. And you can see I broke this down by water and wastewater. And the other item that's on here is there's a number of expenses that are variable. And by variable, I mean, if we have more flow than normal at the wastewater treatment plants, we have more sludge. If we have more electrical costs because we're pumping more water or less water. So variable expenses are very important to watch. And it's been my opinion that the budgets are living documents, not static documents. And water districts I've been on and worked for, we basically set them up on a quarterly review so you can make adjustments based on what's actually happening at the water as well as the facilities associated with that. There are a couple items that I need clarification on so we can proceed with developing the rate order. Some of that has to do with the engineering for the water treatment plant. Because I know we're supposed to get that 27, but I didn't see any dollars in there for getting that plant up and running. I don't know how that happened. If there's a line item for it, we need to know that. The other is that chemicals. There are a number of chemicals that were left off. I got these numbers. They're in gray on your particular one with a red asterisk near the top of the first page. And basically, this is to treat at the wastewater treatment plant to discharge from real air. Because one, we have to add alum to help precipitate the phosphorus out. And then the other is the chlorine just because of the phosphorus. Again, it's the amount of chlorine you have to add depending on the flow, so it needs to be addressed and added into it. And then the other is street lighting. Street lighting last year was in the enterprise fund, and it's my understanding that it's being moved to the general. So we can pull that. But I need to, we have seen that really need to get the budget final approval, so then we can put together the rate order. We're looking at a couple of different options on the rate order. One of the main reasons we have that the rate order isn't as easy to do as others is that we basically have people that use under 5,000 gallons of water, and we have people that use over 100,000 gallons of water. So this is a huge spread to try and cover. And we are looking at a couple of alternatives to do like a block rate. So basically, a block rate says everybody in the city pays X amount of dollars per 1,000 gallons of water. And that way I don't have to get into discussions with entities and them regarding, oh, I'm bearing majority of the cost if we do a staggered. How the rate orders have been in the past, like it was $2, $5, $3, but because it happens such a small range, then the end guy always got left at the end, and they pick up the rest of the tab. So the thought process here is that once we have the budget in place, then we'll look at 2 or 3 options to get the rate order. And then that way you can have a good feel for what it actually produces and how fair it is among users. One of the other items that I wanted to bring up is that just from an informational standpoint, 72% of the population uses under 5,000 gallons. Only 20% use under 10,000. So that's 92% of the population uses under 15,000 gallons. And
We have the group that uses 60,000 to 700,000 a month is 5% of the users, and they use 45% of the water. So that's why we're looking at a block rate versus trying to do a staged rate based on these. Because then it now shifts, everybody's equal, and they can make no claim for getting favoritism down to the small users, nor are we giving favoritism to the large. So, and other than that, I just ask that you take a look at the variables in it, because that's going to affect how we do the variable.
Okay, I've got a, when you said per population, you mean per meter?
So here, but it's not insurmountable, and we'll be able to have the rate order available once we know what it is. That's all.
Questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You've done a lot of hard work on the team. Appreciate it.
Well, we're just keeping it busy.
Thank you so much. Thanks. All right, moving on. We have the consent agenda of the city of Blanco holiday schedule. Anybody have any objections or discussion over what's here? It's pretty straightforward. Go ahead. What? I think I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the holiday schedule as proposed.
I'll second. All in favor? That's unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have new business. This is regarding the signer on the bank account. Presently, it's myself, Mayor Pro Tem Trailkill, and Councilmember McClellan. That's Councilmember McClellan, a commission for an extended period. It's just being Council or Mayor Pro Tem Trailkill. And if something happens to one of us, or we're out of town or something, we check this. So, what is there I just want to decide who should step in.
So I guess, what the mayor said, from a practicality standpoint, you have two people sign checks so that we can pay our bills, so go with the alternate, and alternate Mr. McClellan. Since I don't think he's going to be able to do those duties in the near future, it might be up to you as council to decide that you want to have a third signer instead of Mr. McClellan, or you should have an extra signer, but we probably need to have a third signer that will be available. So it's whoever you want us to make people that are about.
Question, would that be removing Kim or just adding another person?
You can leave them on and just add them.
Just add another person. That's
Anybody want to get volunteered for that?
Councilmember Smith?
Oh, I thought I'd nominate Councilmember Smith.
All right.
Councilmember McClellan was the most tenured member of the council. He is the most tenured member, but after him, that would be you.
You have the nice gray hair, please.
Right here, Council, I got to go. That would be fine, yeah.
So,
I would move that we approve an amendment to resolution 2023-R-007 designating Mayor Mike Arnold, Mayor Pro Tem Rodney Trailkill, and then Councilmember Keith McClellan's absence, Councilmember Mike Smith, authorized to sign on the city's depository accounts as the official signatories of the city of Blanco.
I will second.
any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. So who's going to present this warrant and approving the municipal budget? Agenda number 2.
Thank you, Mayor, citizens, and council. So last week, we went over the views of council, with the final budget made some decisions, and they're trying to just go over. Do you have that, can you load that up? What you as, council instructed administration to do, or what I understood that to be, that was staying with a 6% ad valorem increase, but that would be keeping the officer, removing, if we had $25,000 for city planner, that's taken out. So is the $10,000 for the overlay, that also removed, and then the $110,000 for the streets and infrastructure, for potholes and mowing and those sort of things, that went down from $110,000 to $40,000. Am I missing anything major? I think those were the main things that you did, and we have then kept that $51,000, $249 for your in the black. So that's general fund, and there was no changes to the enterprise fund. But the enterprise fund, as OJ was discussing, those items, and how that rate order ends up looking like. The increase would be a 17% rate increase, and that won't be possible. That will be like you kind of was explaining, targeted, but it would still be 17% increase. And that is what you're actually voting on tonight. Is both the changes to the general fund and then the enterprise fund is what you see that hasn't changed. Question was that.
The maintenance dropping it to 40,000, is that for mowing the right of way?
All that's
What was for mowing the right of way?
yeah. So originally we had, I think when we first started, it's for $40,000 for mowing, just various things that happen through the year. There'll probably be some materials for filling potholes. We'll be using that rock asphalt, but it won't include an employee to actually do that. So without the $100,000, $40,000 won't have an employee, which what we have now, which is FMR doing that when they can, and then also doing some right of way mowing and some other miscellaneous things.
Okay, there's nothing for the rock wall.
Nothing from the rock wall, it's to be taken out.
Anybody have any questions, comments, discussion?
How much did we have in there for the roll call? Do you remember?
42.
40.
Yeah, 45,000.
We started with 45, as we were moving things around, that got taken out. That's when we had the $210,000, I believe, and there was money in the rock wall for that. That's,
These are our corrective actions when we realized we were inaccurate on our projected revenues, and in an effort to minimize the amount of tax increase. You know, we were looking at 5%, and it was going to work, but at this point we've gone to 6%. And we had to cut, you know, if we're fortunate, we find some additional revenues or cost savings during the year for engineering or whatever other services, and we might be able to go back and look at it, but that's why that out along with the streets and everything else. It's you're doggone if you do, you're doggone if you don't. You know, so.
And Warren, can you explain procedurally the difference between item 2 and item 3?
Item 2 is approving the budget. Roll call vote. Item 3.
Item 3, you have to ratify it if the tax rate that you approve is over the voter approval road, then you ratify it. So that's what the
Which
resolution,
you are.
which is what number 3 is.
Okay, so the first one is for the budget itself, the second is for the tax.
It's to ratify the budget. if it's
Ratify
over.
this over the vote.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would make a comment. Just a couple of things that I see is bright spots in this budget, which was difficult. Last meeting, we made some cuts. Under the general fund revenue, this year we have a $75,000, we have $75,000 in new revenue due to interest. That's a direct result of the finance department's best practices that they put in place. That is new revenue that we did not have before. Our accounts gaining interest. So that's a bright spot. I'm very happy for that. And I'm very appreciative to Sasha and Teresa for that. We had 4 different departments whose budgets decreased this time around. The catch-all department, the non-departmental budget went down $55,096.52. The council budget went down $6,000, $6,600. The court budget went down $10,816.31. And finally, under Chief Scott Rubin's direction, the police budget went down $18,449.73. And I thought that was what I mentioned.
Anybody else?
I do want to just bring to the table again the planner, at a lower time of 3 hours per week, which would equal $15,000. Just seeing the 51,000, I think it's really great, and I think we definitely do need positive and overage money there in case there's an unforeseen expense that comes up. That does need to be a positive number, obviously. I don't know how positive we need to be. Since we do have cash in the bank, we just need to stop spending it. If we got the planner, that number would change to 36,000 positive. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think we have great Blanco commissioner volunteers. They have really great ideas for Blanco, but sometimes it's hard to know how your idea is going to translate for a local person and how it's going to be abused by a big developer. That's the value I see in this planner. I think we could go down to 3 hours a week for 15,000 if we think we have enough positive in the budget.
Are you gonna make that as a motion?
No, I just wanted to hear if that was better for that felt better to anyone.
I mean, the cost is less, I mean, you know, we're still, I'm gonna sit on my other thought box and say, if we don't build our reserves, then we're not gonna have the ability to finance improvements to our infrastructure in a competitive manner. You know, if we could get an A+ rating on our bonding, then that would enable us to do, you know, we're implementing a long range plan, looking at doing a long range plan and systematically addressing the failing infrastructure, which many cities have. I mean, we're not standing alone in this, but we've got to build up. And I'm going to, if we project a reserve, I'm going to fight to keep that reserve and not spend it. And I feel like that's the commitment I'm going to make, and that's the way I will vote.
Anybody else?
I think it's worthy. I'm just so excited to be in the black. $52,000 sounds like a lot. Probably easily go over budget. I hope we do not, with unforeseen contingencies. We cut our nose off to spite our face. We do need to be planning for the future. I'm just apprehensive. It's taking so much work to come out with this narrow margin of black at the bottom. And this is the first time in so many years.
I'm going to ask one question. Are there other avenues, were there grants or funds or we've been like a rate study, we have somebody come in, you know, and help us with a rate study and everything. So what are there other options to accomplish this without going into our general fund?
So first of all, there's really 2 things. We need to get moving on asking for a grant for the comprehensive plan, which we're working on. That would be the first thing, and then this planner might be someone that involved or a different company. And then second of all, just because, you know, put it in for 3 hours, if there's special projects, if there's time that person needs to come in to educate, council or plans, we certainly hire this person ad hoc. Like, you know.
Well, he had tendered that offer at a higher rate than if we got Boston College. He's got, was 30% more, you know.
And I do support hiring this person, but sometimes if you have something where it's 3 hours, 5 hours, sometimes you may 2 hours, 1 hour, 5 hours. So it may be something where if as council starts understanding that they may want to hire this person that just once in a while. So I think what you're saying is with all the things we have to spend, maybe this isn't best use right now, but it could be.
I don't want to spend any more than we're projecting in the budget.
Right.
And I don't want to raise the budget to lower our reserves. So, I mean, that's kind of where I look at it. Then again, I'll ask, are there other avenues to fund the planner services besides the general fund?
And like I said, we're gonna try to get a grant for the comprehensive plan, but other than that, no, there really isn't as far as, well, we haven't been able to find any grants to just hire a planner.
And do you attend the PNC meetings?
I did,
And you are a city planner,
I am.
so you're able to answer the questions that are presented to you.
Yeah, so I am, I think what Councilmember Swinson is saying, like, speak for just a minute, I think there'd be some value in getting a second opinion, and getting a different type of planner, one that actually has done planning more recently, but, it's not critical, it would be helpful. And then that's what I would say, so it would be, that's something that you wanted to do, I'd be fine with it, or the administration would be fine with it, but it's not critical because I'm doing that work now, and I get, you know, of course, the rest of the staff helps me with the staff reports, but we do get the work done. I do get the work done for planning.
I think we can actually, if we had a new development and goes to come in, I think we could actually hire someone and then have the developer charge them a fee to cover the review for.
So we
have
could
a-
do that on the, you know, on the as needed basis.
Yeah, and
And
then
then we could adjust our fees for where that could be reimbursed or incurred by the developer. Is that an option?
Yes, because next week we are gonna go over, Mayor and I are talking about, looking at how our fee schedule and specific process, probably take more than one time to prove that. We are starting to look at that. So it is something, so for example, if you had a PDD or zone change, you could hire this planner and just charge the,
Well, I wouldn't be objective to looking into that. I don't want to make it cost prohibitive for somebody to develop property, but I don't want our taxpayers to pay for that service when it's going to benefit one person.
that is possible.
Okay. So there's hope. But at this point, I would not support on the approval of this budget.
yeah, I definitely want to have extra money in the bank. I just didn't know about how much money we needed there, or if this was worth it, but
As much as possible.
And well, we gotta have
well, not too much.
4
We can
months,
lower
6
tax.
months operating time.
But again, as much as 50,000 sounds like it's pretty,
Yeah, one unexpected event could.
and it's not.
go into that.
I appreciate you bringing this up to us again. I do think it's a worthy endeavor. I do think we should revisit it. I'm not hesitant to do it today.
The goal is 120 days of operating, we probably are at about 40 or 45. So we do have a ways to go as far as building up those reserves. And that'll
Right,
take
and there's other vehicles we may be able to implement to get there, but at this point,
Yes,
until we're there.
I do have a question on this page. Top of it, it says this budget will raise more revenue from property taxes than last year's budget. It says 26.1% tax increase. Is that
So 26.1% is not what people individually are paying. Is the amount from last year to this year, which is,
It's the 255,000 that's on there. I have a snippet of it here. So what you're reading is this little paragraph.
Yes.
It is the revenue. So take out the 6% and everything. It's just the difference between last year's revenue to this year's revenue. And that percentage off of that is 26. It's not that we're increasing, it's because the property tax is already increased. That's how much more revenue, just money-wise revenue we're getting from last year.
more homes, more businesses.
Any more discussion? I'll have to read the whole thing. So I'm gonna ask if there is a motion to approve ordinance 2023-0-010 of the city of Blanco, Texas, setting and approving the municipal budget for the 2023 to 2024 fiscal year, funding municipal purposes, authorizing expenditures, providing for findings of fact, enactment, filing of budget, repealer, severability, effective date, and proper notice and meeting. Is there a motion to that?
You don't have to read all the whereas.
No, I can't read that. Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2023-011 is read.
There's a second.
I will second.
This is supposed to be a roll call.
So I will call roll. Nick, so when I call your name, just say for or against. Mayor Pro Tem Drake Hill,
4.
Councilmember Smith,
4.
Councilmember Swenson,
4.
Councilmember Moses.
Again.
Okay, so it passes 3-1.
Thank you. Next is the, I guess just procedural. No need for discussion. It's just ratifying what was just done.
You can open for discussion after a second if you wish.
Okay.
You already had it.
Yeah. So, I will entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2023 R-012 of the city of Blanco, Texas, ratifying expenditures, filing of budget, repealer, severability, effective the municipal budget for fiscal year 2023-2024, funding municipal purposes, authorizing date, and proper notice.
Someone,
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Drake Hill,
4.
Councilmember Smith,
4.
Councilmember Swenson,
4.
Councilmember Moses.
Again.
Take care.
Agenda item number 4. This is the maintenance and operating tax rate. Is there a presentation, that same thing, more procedural?
It's the same thing, but you have to approve the maintenance and operating separate and then the debt separate. And then those two added together get your tax rate. Okay,
And there's no roll call voting for this.
correct. It's just a regular motion and second and vote.
No questions, I'll
The
entertain.
roll call combined.
Yes, that's number 6.
Right, we get to 6.
So I'll entertain a motion with no questions or comments. Reports.
So I will move that we approve the 2023 maintenance and operating tax rate not to exceed the proposed rate of 0.2026 to fund the 2023-2024 budget.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Catch that?
I think Carrie, 3-1, like Moses.
Correct. Okay, next is the, same thing. Motion on that?
I will move that we approve the 2023 debt tax rate not to exceed the proposed rate of 0.1506 to fund the 2023-2024 debt obligation.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Finally, I will entertain a motion for the approval of ordinance 2023-0-012 of the city of Blanco, Texas, setting and approving the 2023 ad valorem tax rate and levy not to exceed the proposed rate of 0.3532 cents per $100 assessed valuation of all taxable property within the corporate limits of the city of Blanco, Texas. Their motion.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Roll call. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, I just wanted to point out that we're actually very, very slightly lowering the tax rate. And it's feel a little better because your tax bill is gonna be more than last year, but it's because your valuation went up, which is at least something tangible, but not just because the city said you have to.
Roll call vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Drake Hill,
4.
Councilmember Smith,
Four.
Councilmember Swenson,
For
Councilmember Moses.
Again,
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. So it is 6:41. We're going to close this portion of the meeting and we can meet in executive session. Thank you, everybody.